Dear Lebanon, your location and your diversity put you at the hub between continents and cultures. You have an impressive ability to absorb hardships. Yet you rarely confront the causes of them.
Who the hell is responsible?
I still can't get the images out of my head. The explosion took me reeling back to the days of civil war.
At the end of the war, the warlords were given promises of public money.
We have the same politicians, the same ones killed. They're still here, which is like, what?
You have so much vested interests in the system, which led us to this very tragic situation.
لماذا لم تبادر هيدي المواد المتفجرة؟
And why didn't the president do anything about it?
I don't know.
Corruption is eating up everything in the country.
We have to buy bottles of water, which costs more than petrol now.
The crazy floating power stations.
The system will not be changed from the top.
Elections are the only tool that we have.
I don't believe the voting process is legitimate.
So are you still confident with your decision?
100%.
If we do not fix ourselves, the people will revolt against us.
We Lebanese people, we're strong. We're very strong and we're stubborn.
What is your dream for Lebanon?
To become a nation.
We are Lebanese! All of us! Shame on you for dividing us!
These politicians, they deserve to be in jail. Enough is enough.
Dear Lebanon, you're too important to let fail. We believe in the idea of Lebanon. The thing is, Lebanon, do you still believe in that idea? This is a question only you can answer.
Welcome to Stand for Truth podcast. Today I have a special guest who I've actually tried to get on the show here over a year ago when I first started, and finally she's here in Australia. As I was in Lebanon, I tried to get her on. Daizy Gedeon, welcome to Stand for Truth podcast.
Thank you, Charlie, and sorry I missed you. No, we just crossed paths. It just didn't.
I know, you were in Australia, I was in Australia. We're going to come on. Then I went to Lebanon and I missed you in Lebanon, and finally actually saw her at St. Charbels, and I thought, oh, perfect timing. So you're on here now. Thank you very much for coming on.
My absolute pleasure.
If you don't mind, we'll just start off with a quick prayer.
Sure.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. We ask the Holy Spirit to guide us, so everything we say and do comes from the guidance of the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you so much, Daisy, for coming on. A lot of you guys will know who Daizy Gedeon is, and I'll explain very quickly. I first came across you when you released that movie, Enough, Lebanon's Darkest Hour. And it was released at Bondi Junction.
It was
Fox Studios.
Yes, Fox Studios.
Fox Studios, that's it, yeah.
December 2021.
You did a movie before that, yeah? Can you please just...
25 years ago.
Wow.
Omar Sharif in the 1990s, 96, it was released.
Okay.
It was called Lebanon Imprisoned Splendor, and it was coming out of the war. I started filming in 93 and finished.
Was it a documentary or a movie?
It's a documentary.
Okay, documentary as well.
Yeah. And it won several awards around the world, and Omar Sharif graciously agreed after chasing him halfway around the world to get him.
He's got to be one of the biggest Middle Eastern
stars, Lebanese origin. Yeah.
Is he
born in Egypt?
Okay.
Parents from Stura in the
Oh, wow.
Bekaa.
So he's got to be one of the biggest stars in...
Arab, absolutely.
Okay.
In Arab, someone coming from the Middle East into Hollywood, he is definitely the biggest.
How'd you get him to the movie? How'd you get him on board?
Half-page spread in the Sydney Morning Herald. You should see it. And Today's Show, great story. You should go back and watch it. It was amazing, telling them the story. Yeah, I had to track him down because his agents, I'll make it really short, we reached out to his agents, William Morris, who are in London, and they basically, we sent them the script and basically said $50,000 a day US, and he's not going to be interested. So we chased them and basically they ignored us. And my sister got a
This
number.
is 25 years ago.
This is 25 years ago. Eventually we got a number, found out that he was in the south of France filming a film with Timothy Dalton, Nigel Havers and this all-star cast in Marseille, and found out where he was staying after spending 6 hours phoning hotels across the southern, literally 6 hours phoning till we found the hotel he was in. And then I flew down next day, checked in. It was a little chateau, and told them I was there to meet with Omar Sharif. And, they said, we'll let him know you're here. They didn't know. Anyway, got to speak to him, explained to him what I was doing, that it was a film, because this was the first time someone was doing a film on Lebanon that didn't involve the focus of war, terrorism, kidnapping and all of that, because the 1990s, the whole 70s and 80s, Lebanon's reputation got completely changed. The 60s was the heyday of Lebanon.
Yeah, that's right.
And and I said to him, I want to tell the splendor of Lebanon, what we've forgotten. I grew up, I had no idea, and went back to Lebanon in late 80s, and even with the war, fell in love with this amazing country, and we need to tell the world that story. And he said, I'm in. And, a year later I was back in Paris recording with him, and after we finished the script and everything, and so he was in, and so it's a tale about, it's not superficial at all. It's a real story, but it gives you a comprehensive story of Lebanon, not just terrorism, kidnappings, war and stuff. It tells you the history.
I can't wait to watch that one. I haven't seen it, so I'm excited to go home and watch it. So very keen.
Fun.
Fast forward to the movie that I did watch, Enough, Lebanon's Darkest Hour.
Yeah.
That got me the most because obviously you started filming that before the Beirut Blast, correct?
2017, yeah.
Okay. And you released that after the Beirut Blast.
Yep, because the story just kept unraveling. I was supposed to finish in 2018, 2019, and then...
Oh, so you actually filmed it even before the financial crisis?
Yep. 2017 we went, 2018 we went back to film some more. And as we were finishing the film in 2019, after all the editing and post, the revolution happened.
So what was the movie about before?
The name wasn't Enough, Lebanon's Darkest Hour.
Oh, it was called something else.
It was called The Dream is Everything.
Really?
And you should see the promo we made. There was a 20-minute promo to capture the essence of the film. I did over 200 interviews for that film, and it was about the dream, because when I was traveling around Lebanon 2017, 2018, there was this heaviness. People forgot. I used to ask them at the end of every interview was, what do you love about Lebanon? What do you hate about Lebanon? What's your dream for Lebanon? And their dreams were not real dreams, like what you would dream. It was like they lost their passion because they had been oppressed year after year after year after year. But some gave us these pearls of responses. And for me, what I wanted to do was revive people's dreams for Lebanon. And so when I was trying to write the script and finalise, I said, the dream is everything, because the dream is what inspires you to drive and
100%.
work. And so that was what it was about. And then and one part of it was, get off your asses and revolt against this goddamn government. Go and vote for somebody
Well, the only thing that triggered was that WhatsApp, when they said they're going to charge the WhatsApp, and everyone started writing in the streets.
Yeah, and my producer going, oh shit, we've got lock on the film. I said, no, unlock the film. We're going back, because I was so happy. I said, we're going to change the film.
They're waking up. They're doing something.
Yeah.
Just a quick break. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Just want to make this announcement. Please, guys, everybody watching the show, only 10% of my audience is subscribed to our YouTube channel. Please, 90% of you are not subscribed. If you want us to have some bigger and better shows and keep this show going, I'd love you to subscribe to the show, especially if you're enjoying it, and press the bell button so that you can actually be notified for the next episodes. God bless you all. Majdaleh.
Doing something.
Yeah, because the film would have been dated if we didn't have the revolution.
Yeah. So the WhatsApp thing happened, then the bank crisis, the revolution,
and the explosion.
Fast forward to the explosion. And were you in Lebanon during the explosion?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I went there a month after, and we did some humanitarian charity work in Lebanon. We were there for 11 months. And just seeing Lebanon already hitting their rock bottom, and it just got worse and worse. And then when you brought out the movie, I was shocked because you actually interviewed some of the heaviest politicians in Lebanon, from Samir Jaja to Gibran Basir to Hariri. And I was like, how did you manage to get these interviews? That's the first question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
How did
it
you do
wasn't
that?
easy.
It was easy?
Wasn't
it wasn't easy. I thought,
easy, no. Hariri took a year and a half. Basile was okay, but still 6 months. Michel Aoun, they would not let me interview him, even though I'd interviewed him in my first film, because I was such a Aouni. You know, I was تحت الأصف بالأصف
okay.
back in 1989. I was
really?
there.
Really?
I did reporting, and I was there. I was in the palace. I've got photos with him, and I was against Syria, right? That's
so you were there when he
War of Liberation.
when just before he went to France.
Exactly. And then so I interviewed him in Paris, in France when he was in exile. And I was they knew me, and they would not. 2 years of me trying, there was just no way they were going to let me interview. And I was going, why? And the closest people, I said, it's me. Like, you know me. Like, how could you not let me? Here's my photos. You know who I am. They were like, nah, closed, door.
But you interviewed the other ones, and you interviewed the other politicians.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, you ripped them to pieces. I was like,
did I really though?
Yeah. I
asked the hard questions. Because I was completely.
What I mean by that is you ask the hard questions. My podcast is called Stand for Truth, and that's why I've got you on here.
Yeah.
Because you stand for the truth. You stand for what you believe is the truth.
Yeah.
Regardless if I might disagree with what you think, but you stood for your truth. You asked those questions without fear. Okay.
I did have fear.
But
I still had to ask it.
I'm surprised they didn't kill you. Did you get death threats? Because you're very direct. Because I think people tiptoe around these people in Lebanon.
They do.
And you asked questions that were like, I was shocked that they actually sat and answered. Maybe that's why they didn't want you to interview Michel Aoun. But did they threaten you? Did you get any threats? Sorry if I can ask this.
The only time I got threats was when we were releasing the film in Lebanon and around the world. Actually, when the film went to Cannes, so it won the first award at the Cannes Film Festival, it became exposed to the world. So it was the first time people had seen what the story was. So they didn't know.
You say take that part out or things like that, or no?
No, it didn't happen until I was in America, and we had screened in a couple of places, particularly Florida, and where there was a big community everywhere. Like, we got invited to festivals. We've been invited now to over 53 film festivals around the world, and picked up 28 awards. Which
really?
Wonderful,
that's amazing.
wonderful response. And we're still getting asked to submit my film into festivals. It's really wonderful. Even though it's, 3 years, I said, the film's it was released in 2020, are you sure? And they said, we watched the film because it's on Film Freeway, which is available to all festivals. And when they watch it before they invite you in, and they said, absolutely, what you're saying, what you're standing for, we don't, we honour the work that you've done for truth and for the story of Lebanon, but it's a story that all people can relate to around the world, because Lebanon is one.
Yeah, but it's great that you were sitting in front of these leaders in Lebanon, and you were asking them questions that everyone else is probably wanting to ask them.
That's exactly right. So that's why I did ask. Because after doing the interviews with hundreds of Lebanese people around the world and in Lebanon, it was my responsibility in that seat to speak on their behalf. That's how I felt.
But you could see,
I was nervous, but you could, absolutely.
In these politicians, because I don't think anyone's ever really put on them in that way, in a direct way. And it was beautiful. That's what I loved about it, But I did fear for your life, I thought.
So the threats really came when we got to Lebanon. When I was still in America, I hacked on Facebook, and they took me down when they saw the film's success around the world. But when I was
blocked the posts going out,
they just took me down. I was off, and Facebook was my main page at the time. That was 2021 and 22. Yeah, they took me down, and they tried to hack the website. There was, those, what do they call them though? I don't know.
Oh, I know the hackers. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but the time when I was going to Lebanon, and this is So a lot of people around the world said to me, you can't go to Lebanon when they started seeing it around the world.
Yeah, that's
Informed
what I
people
thought.
say you cannot go to Lebanon anymore. That's it. You know, we off. And it actually scared me for about 6 weeks because I was planning to go to Lebanon and release the film before the 2022 elections because the film was to inspire, motivate with the truth. And this is what happened in Lebanon. And I got scared. I got scared for about 6 weeks saying, okay, you know, I got 3 kids and, you know.
But how would you land at the airport? Did you not think that, hey, the Lebanese have war style?
So we contacted the army, we contacted Mukhabarat, the Australian Federal Police, whatever. We had some contacts and we started, is it all right? Is Daisy's name on a list? Is Daisy's?
Oh, really?
And they all said, no, she's fine. No names, ask the embassy, So I thought, okay, we're going to go because this is what I did this film for.
Yeah, of course.
I can't not go and I can't not share it and be there at the time for the launch because it's so important. So it was so I had to have security. I didn't go without. So I had a 6, security whenever we were out in public and screening because we did a lot of screenings outdoor. It was released in all cinemas across Lebanon.
But sorry to say, but these guys are that connected. Would they care about your security? Like, don't they have enough power to do what they wanted if they really wanted to, or no?
Look, of course they could, but I mean, it's also it's
a worldwide exposure.
What the Australian security said to me before I went was, it's not going to be the party that's going to give an order. It's going to be a lone wolf who's going to be upset with what you're saying about their
group or whatever.
The Amal or Tayyar or Hezbollah or whatever are not going to be the ones that give the order, especially you're an Australian citizen. There's a lot of complications when it becomes an Australian citizen. You're a foreign citizen. So if
you're a local Lebanese,
you're
see ya. Bye-bye, Daisy. Okay.
Yeah. You're easy to take off the grid.
So you went back what year?
2022, before the elections, 1st of April 2022, April Fool's Day, but it wasn't a fool. And we launched on the 9th of April across Lebanon, and it was, the mission was to get as many people to watch the film, so it was for free and it was advertised. LBC, MTV, Al Jadid advertised the film.
Really?
For free. The deal was, I'm going to give you guys the film. You don't have to pay me, but I'm going to give it to you equally. But after we do the launch in the cinemas before the election, you can screen it on TV, but there's no exclusivity. And they were great. Michel Mir, Pierre Daher, and Karma Khayat were all good.
Okay.
And they saw the film and they said, yes, we're all for this
that's
story.
Great.
And so it went out and it was for free and we were giving people popcorn, T-shirts, caps, drinks, just come and watch the film because we wanted people to listen and learn, and it was an education and it was, we filmed all of the, not all, the openings, we filmed them everywhere and then we took it on tour around Lebanon. To Arsel, to Rashaya.
Oh, really? That far?
Yeah, we went deep because they had no cinemas anywhere near, and they had no money. They had no money for petrol to go to cinemas. They had nothing.
What was the response of the people?
Phenomenal.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Whatever religion they were, we went up to we had a real problem in Jimblot's area.
In the Shuf?
Yeah, we had a screening in a community centre with about 200 people, and they had buses.
Did you interview him or no?
No.
Okay.
No, but they knew what I was revealing in the film about him. And, but it was so that the whole purpose of the tour was to get people to be motivated to go and vote for change because they'd learned something. And the best, the best example of the film really hitting out, so many people came out because we did some vox pops. I mean, I had crew and stuff doing vox pops. From the highly sophisticated, highly educated to the, humble who said, I had no idea. I knew that they're all corrupt, but I had no idea. I joined the dots. And that was like the penny has dropped. I'm definitely going to vote. And these young guys, they were Sunnis from the Bekaa, they were part of my detail. And I just remember them coming up to me. There was like 4 of them. young, maybe 23 to 26, 27, black T-shirts, black pants, you know, but I've been that and with this, like, نحن ما كنا.
Oh, like they had no idea.
No idea, no interest in politics, no, ما بنتعاطى بالسياسة, ما بنعرف, ما بدنا شيء. And they watched the film and نحن راح
we need to vote.
ونحن راح ننتخب.
Yeah.
And طريق جديد, you know, طريق جديد
yeah.
in Beirut.
Yeah.
This group of boys, I was scared to death. It was like, you know, no, but there was like 20 of them. They came to watch the screening in that area and they stayed
the rough
back.
part of town.
That was a very rough part of it. And they stayed at the end. And Milham Khalaf came to that one. You know, we had different people in different areas that came to the screenings and they stayed back and they just wanted to talk. You know, they want شفنا الفيلم وعرفنا وفهمنا بس يعني ما بنعرف. We don't know what we should do. نحن عندنا عيال. We have families. We have whatever, you know. And
they must have been freaking out that you're from Australia, knowing all this information
and it made it more trustworthy for them.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't brought up.
You didn't have an agenda.
And the film doesn't have an agenda with anyone.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, one of the censors I met a year after, one of the members of the army that goes through the censorship to get it approved, because we had to get it approved before it could be released in cinemas. It took 6 weeks. Normally it takes a week to get released.
How did they approve it? That's just...
And he said to me, you know, he saw me in another film opening in Lebanon. He said, I was one of the ones in charge and I'm the one who took it up, your film up.
Oh, really?
He said, at the end, I said to them, she's going after everyone. She hasn't gone.
I saw you expose everybody.
She's not with anyone. يعني خبرت على الكل. And نحن بنعرف. So it's like, you know, we
you took that statement, كلهم يعني كلهم literally, and you actually.
But I only did it because I had facts. I couldn't just say كلهم يعني كلهم. But when you put the facts down and you're having that conversation, you realize what the detail is. They're all part of they're sitting around the table.
Who was the hardest person you interviewed that you were like, kind of like, not scared, but who were you like?
Hariri.
Oh, yeah?
Hariri, yeah.
Okay.
You know, he was the prime minister. He was so hard to get to. And also he had, you know, there's a lot of culpability. But also, you know what? When I was interviewing him, and I am going to release the full interviews, I'm just waiting.
Oh, you haven't released the full ones?
No,
okay.
The full unedited, like, because you saw like 7 minutes
that's
of his. Right. I did an hour. I was supposed to have 30 minutes, and his assistant,
maybe we'll release them on my podcast.
His assistant said the time, you've got 5 minutes, and I kindly asked Prime Minister Hariri if I could ask some more questions, and he let me go for another 30 minutes. So it was really good, but it was really good. You know, a cross section of topics that we discussed, but and there's stuff that, you know, I didn't put in, but there's some really good stuff. I mean, I was most nervous in his one, I must say. That was the interview, because for me, you know, Basil is also I wasn't nervous with Basil for some reason. I felt calmer, but Hariri, I felt nervous, and the accusation of, you know, all the people, I did accuse all of them of being corrupt. People say it's you, including you, who is, you know, called.
That's what I was shocked about, because I shocked in a good way, but I was like, oh wow, you're doing something that, like, you're really standing for truth. Question I'd like to ask you about the Beirut Blast.
Yeah.
Who do you think did it? Okay, who do you think did it, or do you know who did it?
Hope you're enjoying the Stand for Truth podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Just to let you guys know, it's our first year anniversary. We've been having a successful year, and September 4th this year, we've got a fundraiser. Okay, we've got Abuna Tanis and Abuna John coming from Lebanon. They're going to be the special guest speakers. We need all your support so we can grow the channel, so we can get bigger speakers out here, we can get a bigger audience, and we need your support through sponsorship and getting tables at the event. So please reach out to us. God bless you all. What's your opinion?
Well, I haven't got proof.
Okay.
I haven't got proof. And in the film, you'll notice I said it's either criminal negligence, you know, or an accident. They were the two options. But there was a third option, but I didn't have enough evidence to even, you know, propose that option. And that was, Israel bomb Lebanon?
Yeah, when I was in Lebanon, I heard a lot of people saying that they saw fighter jets and drones.
Yeah. So, you know, you can Okay, so the thing was when you're making a documentary, and you have to be very careful when you've got to maintain credibility, is I can put that evidence or those comments in, and it's hearsay, right? So
it's not factual.
You've got to have something more than that. Otherwise, you're just throwing out suspicions, and you become. So it was very important for the documentary that I maintained credibility for the rest of the information I was trying to present. I didn't lose credibility. And so I didn't, and that was really at the, in the beginning, the first few months. So I didn't have enough evidence to even propose that. But going back to Lebanon, spending the last 2 years now in Lebanon, talking to people, and people reached out to me that when they knew I was in Lebanon. One woman, said, I need to talk to you. I know stuff. And then another person from the army, and she had gone, she said, and to the port and picked up shrapnel from the bomb.
Oh, really?
And she took it and she still had it and tried to get it, tested. But the only place to test it was the American University of Beirut. And if their lab knew it, they would confiscate it and the government would know. And so she got told by certain people, it's going to go. You're not.
But can I ask you, if let's say for argument's sake, this lady has this shrapnel and thinking it's from
an Israeli or an American
Israeli plane or whatever, why would the Lebanese government not want this information out, for example? What's the reasoning behind it?
So it's a very daunting question, and I still haven't come to a clear enough conclusion, but there has got to be a reason why the Lebanese government has shut down the investigation. There's got to be compelling evidence against key people, which is why they're not allowing the investigation. Hezbollah also having control of the port with Amal. Look, there was an investigation done by a really strong team of journalists from Al Jadid who followed it back to, the source of the ship and tracked it back, and their evidence showed that the ammonium nitrate was actually headed to Syria to make bombs against the revolutionaries. It was never going to Africa. And this is the thing, is that there's a lot of players involved, and it's beyond Lebanon, but still we have a problem with our government. This is, again, the problem of corruption, the problem is that people have got to hide for one another, because I know your secret, you know my secret, he knows his secret.
Okay, so
and if I tell on you, you're going to tell on me, and it's this sort of game. So there's a whole lot of secrets that they're keeping, the lid on. But why wouldn't Hezbollah tell the world that Israel bombed Beirut?
Yeah, if it was, why wouldn't they? So
exactly.
That's the thing I ask.
Exactly. And there's got to be reason. We haven't got to that yet.
Okay.
We haven't, and I think, Lockman Slim was assassinated.
Yes,
because
he was assassinated when I was in Lebanon.
Yeah, and there's reasons why. There was another gentleman who had taken the first photographs.
First video footage, and he was killed in his car at the front of his house.
Yeah.
And when I was in Lebanon, there was a magistrate that was actually, he was a bit like you on steroids. And they shut him down a few times. What was his name? Do you remember?
Tariq Bitar.
Yes.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
Well, they had to sideline him because he was like that.
I was surprised they didn't kill him, because he was
doing everything by the book, but he never exposed anything. He was
trying to.
Yeah, but he couldn't, because he was ethical and he was doing his job properly, because he couldn't just go and talk to people. He was accumulating the evidence, and he had accumulated a lot of evidence. And when he issued the warrants for the subpoenas, for those members of Parliament, and they all, vacated the country until the subpoena was over, and they shut him down. The Parliament shut him. Those elements within the Parliament shut him down, and they tried to silence him, and then they've removed him from the case. Because he was determined to get to the truth.
And they don't like that.
And the thing is, you can't release some of the evidence out, and you can't, because then you will damage the case. If you ever had a legal case, you will damage it if you start whispering stuff, because then the evidence gets, contaminated, and it can't be used in the actual case. So they've got to be very careful with how they run the case and how they reveal the evidence. And that's why
Are they still
persisting? They're still persistent.
Okay.
And the families of the victims.
A lot of the families are really frustrated. I know that I've seen a lot of their posts, and it's
they
sad
want an
because-
independent investigation. They're calling for that and have been calling on it. And there is a mechanism within the United Nations to get an independent investigation, but it's a process, a procedure, you know. And I went with Dr. Najat Saliba when I went to Geneva with her last year. She was invited to a couple of conferences in Geneva and in New York, and I travelled with her, and we got to meet with members of the United Nations Human Rights Commission, people behind the scenes, the administrators, and they were telling us, you know, how there's a process that has to be undertaken to get to that. And one of them, you know, and this is the thing, that you've got to follow the process. You can't just, we need somebody to, you know, yell and scream. There's got to be proper procedure, which is why South Africa, and I'm going to lead into into Gaza, South Africa did the right thing by issuing a case against, launching a lawsuit against Israel for genocide in the International Criminal Court. They were doing.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
That's the right. They're doing it the right procedure, because if you want real change, you've got to follow the process. And you know, and other actions have been taken, and the International Criminal Court.
And I have noticed that your posts, especially after the Israeli-Palestinian situation, you've been posting a lot about that.
Yes.
But you've been also shadow banned, because I noticed that your posts aren't going much far, because people are monitoring what you're posting. Is that correct? Have you been banned from any of the?
I was initially.
Just so everyone know, if you're on social media and you're posting truth like I do, I get banned and blocked and stopped. And I think Daisy's got even worse than me. So do you want to explain what's happened to you?
Yeah. So, I started sharing on Gaza and the atrocities from October 8. I know October 7 was a horrible day in history, but you know, what about there's a question they ask, you know, what about October 7? And there's a great guy who said, what about October 8? What about October 9? What about October 10? And he kept
Oh, well, okay.
What about all of them? Life didn't stop at October 7. Look at what's happened since.
Were you posting before?
Not on. Only every now and then when something significant happened. But you know, I held back for like 6 days. I was waiting, and then I just couldn't. I was like, I made a video. I talked to the camera. I was like, this is unbelievable. You know, I just
so you posted,
and that went viral, and then I kept going because I couldn't believe what was going on, and it was truth and justice. It was all about, you know, standing up.
Did they block you off any of the social media?
So so the first block came from LinkedIn. LinkedIn in and I was going crazy on LinkedIn. It was amazing. Like, people, educated, informed people were really watching and listening and engaging and I think it was November or early December I got banned on LinkedIn for 6 months. I think it just came back on in May. We got back on. I got shadow banned from mid to late Janury. Instagram really,
I noticed that,
tightened up.
Hardly any views.
It from where it was, and the you can see also the followers. I want people to check this on their accounts. I mean, if you're posting a lot, check your unfollows, because you know, from November to the end of January, I went up nearly 20,000 followers. It was crazy. It was from 18 to 40K.
So what's the unfollows? What is that? What?
So then from the end of January, I got shadow banned, I got restricted, got all of this, controls. I couldn't boost, I couldn't share. You know, you couldn't do anything. I can't do anything. I'm lucky. Thank you God that I can still post, because I want to keep the story getting out there. And people, I get so many messages. But what happened is then in February, March, April, you'd get these waves on my account where 500 followers would unfollow.
Oh, unfollow all at once.
Like, what the hell? What happened? And then it would slow down. It would go down a little bit less, and then another wave of another 1,000 or 2,000. Like every couple of weeks, you'd lose thousands of followers.
So you started off getting kind of threats from Lebanon, and now you're.
I've been hacked from. They tried to hack me from Tel Aviv twice.
Oh, really?
Because you know how you get it on Instagram, you get someone's trying to log in.
So maybe the
from
Lebanese,
Tel Aviv.
maybe the Lebanese government might like you now.
Yeah, I'm a lot less threatening to them now. Yeah.
You going back to Lebanon or?
Yes, the 7th of July, so a week and a half from now.
And you shouldn't announce that, or it doesn't matter.
You know, I don't matter. I don't mind. I mean, if whoever's going to go after me, if they're going to go after me, بعيد الشر, they're much smarter than whether I announce it or not. I mean, they already know. They're in my phone. They're in my computer. They know everything.
So you're posting.
I don't think I'm that big a threat, but obviously.
No, but you're speaking the truth. So I get it all the time. I post things just about Christianity, and I posted a video of when that Bishop Marmari got stabbed, and wasn't gruesome or anything, and they actually blocked my whole TikTok account. I was banned. Didn't even get a warning. So, and I've been shadow banned and multiple times on other platforms where they've blocked my accounts. So actually one crazy one was I had a page, or I still run a page called Christian Lives Matter on Facebook.
Nice name.
And back in 2017, there was a massacre in a church, I think in Sri Lanka.
Oh, yeah.
100 or 150 people got killed. And I posted a news article in 2017 when this happened. 2021, 4 years later, they banned me on Christian Lives Matter Facebook for posting something that's too gruesome or whatever it is. And I'm thinking, all I was doing was sharing the news article. I didn't write the news article, and it was the Christians that were getting killed. So what have I done wrong? So they just ban you where they don't want you to speak truth.
And this is a bigger problem that we're facing right now, humanity in the world. You know, it's this censorship. Yeah, and we were talking about that with one of the other guests earlier. Whose right is it to speak? Is it, we have an opinion. We should be allowed to speak our opinion as long as it's done, respectfully, fairly. But they're telling us what we're allowed to say, what we're not allowed to say, what we're allowed to see, what we're not allowed to see. This control that, takes you back to the dark ages. That's concerning, and that's why we need to continue to speak up and speak for, stand up. And people need to realise this is, much bigger than Palestine and Israel. This is about humanity. This is about our freedoms, our fundamental freedoms is what we're standing for right now. There's much bigger issues at stake for us as human beings.
There's a lot of issues, and even I've posted about things that are happening in Armenia, in the Syrians, in Iraq, where even the Nigerians, the Christians, are getting slaughtered everywhere, and you don't see the mainstream media talk about it at all. Like they don't even acknowledge it, And again, you get blocked for speaking out, and it's sad because a lot of people are watching mainstream media, or they used to watch mainstream media and believe them, but now people are waking up, which is a great thing, and it's wonderful what you're doing. Because you're speaking the truth, you're speaking what you believe is the truth, you're doing your research, you're going out. And honestly, what you've done, especially for Lebanon, because I love Lebanon, and I've been to Lebanon maybe 9 times in the last 5 years, 6 years, and I've helped a lot of poor in Lebanon and been on the ground there, and I've seen what's happened. And for you to go there and bring it to these people who think they're untouchable and probably are untouchable in a lot of situations, you've done a wonderful job, because I don't think many people have any chance of doing what you do, or wouldn't even dare. So God bless you for doing that, honestly.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know how else to do it, honestly, Charlie. There's just not, it's, people want to be liked, people want to like other people. And this is the thing with Lebanese culture, isn't it? It's like, شاب منيح وبعرف بيو ومرة منيح like this is our history of being, you don't want to upset because you have this tradition and the family, but it's gone beyond that, and a lot of people used to not want to argue or put down or criticize or confront our leaders because, ساعدني بها وما على شيء ويعني ما رأها ما على شيء ما على شيء ما رأى culture has got to end, and it is ending, because look at where we got to, And
where do you think we're heading in Lebanon? Like now people are going to Lebanon for holidays and people are canceling. Some of them are cancelling their trips, right? Saying, oh, Israel's going to hit the airport. And I've seen some, posts where I think they said, oh, Hezbollah's hiding weapons in the Beirut airport. And then the article came out, and now I think there's someone in Lebanon wants to sue the UK news site that posted it because it's fake news and all this stuff that's going out there. Where's Lebanon heading? Do you think?
Just with that, very important, the way Israel drops information. Hezbollah's storing weapons in
as an
Beirut
excuse so they
airport.
can go and do what they want to do.
What do they do at Al Shifa Hospital? What do they do at Al Aqsa Hospital? What have they done in where they claim big claims, and every time they've been asked to justify them, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Tunnels, weapons, whatever. There's been nothing. They just throw these claims out there, and so unfortunately, what happened with the media is that they throw these claims out there. People pick up on the first headline. We're headliners. Weapons at Beirut Airport. So if Israel bombs Beirut Airport, people think, oh, Hezbollah had weapons there. They'll just remember.
They justified it by their...
And it's like, because people don't go deep enough into the stories, and they don't listen to the reports later debunking the beheaded babies and debunking the rape claims that they made on October 7, which the New York Times even had to retract because of the story that they had posted in Washington Post. This is a game that the media, you play with the media when you control the media. You know how to drop the story, spin it, and then the first story that gets out is the one that's going to be picked up by 90% of the people. They're not going to follow the story. And to this day, I've got friends even here in Australia. What do you mean, the beheaded babies, the rape? I said, it's been debunked like 5,000 times. It's been posted. People are saying it was all false, and we know who did it. These two groups, Zaka and this other organisation, the guy from there, I don't know if you remember, came out, he was supposedly a rescue worker who was first on the scene in the kibbutzes and whatever the settlements on the border where that were attacked on October 7. He stood there and in an interview saying beheaded babies, children tied together and slaughtered and shot, and all these stories he made up, which were all proven to be false. But he took that and dined out on it a week later across America with another group of rescue workers. They raised $50 million in less than a month.
Really?
Going around America, and there's a whole report on it, whole report with the dates and everything. And I'm not just making it up. There's a whole, factual reports and detail that was first released in, I think, December and January. And since other people have been reporting, investigating and exposing it, that, these groups just made up these stories. And Netanyahu is told that story to Joe Biden and Anthony Blinken, and they've stopped saying it, but you still get a lot of Zionists who are still using those words because they still want to perpetuate this concept, this falsehood, so people can still believe, the ignorant people who are not reading enough.
So do you think they'll attack Lebanon?
I believe that there's a high probability of Israel striking Lebanon, striking Beirut, and maybe the airport. I think that they've been
talking about it for about 6-7 months, but I think...
So they were planning it from March. If you go back to reading the records, in March they said that they're going to invade Lebanon. And if you read the intelligence reports and other analysis, they were always planning to do it in June, July. So it wasn't going to happen in March. It was going to happen in June, July.
But didn't they make Lebanon a red zone in October last year? They made it do not travel. Now you can't get travel insurance to Lebanon, right?
No, that's right.
But that's from October last year.
Yeah, I think it was in October. I'm not sure exactly when.
So if you look at it, they've made Israel as travel with caution, but Lebanon, do not travel. Red, can't get travel insurance. That's how dangerous they've.
See, this is how they manipulate it. I mean, there's a war in Israel. I mean, This is how they have such control over industry, finance, insurance, media. The big reveal for me was how 3 financial institutions really control the world: State Street, Vanguard, and BlackRock. And their hands are in so many industries and so many powerful, organizations. They've just basically bought up the most important, powerful industries across the world by investing in them, and so they dictate what happens. And the biggest shock for me was when BlackRock announced they'd done a deal with Saudi Arabia about 2 months ago. I
really
could not believe the Saudis shook hands with this devil. I call him Satan, bringing them into Saudi Arabia, because it just shows where their values are too. It's all about money. They just want money. And that's the problem with these guys. I mean, that's the thing with these BlackRock, these leaders of these institutions. They know man's weakness. Not every man, and not generally. I'm generalizing man as a human being. Money, greed,
It's a sad world we're living in, isn't it?
It's just disgusting.
And that's why I do this podcast, to have people stand for truth. I talk about most of my podcasts about the faith, because you know what? Without faith or without standing for truth, we're finished.
Yeah.
And I think we need more people like you standing up, because like you said, you standing up, you doing movies, documentaries, coming on social media, you're risking your life, honestly, to get the message out there of truth. And that's what we call in Christianity a martyr or a warrior, or just somebody who, and I think everybody should have that little bit where they step up and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to support this. So I'm going to share. They don't have to go do a movie about Lebanon, but they can just share one of your videos.
Yeah.
That would support.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. I'm glad you mentioned that. It's not about copying me or copying you. What you're doing is incredible and powerful and influential, and it's impacting change. We don't all have to do the same thing. We just have to be at least play a part, watch, learn, listen, be better informed. So when you hear someone saying something, at least you can have a conversation saying, hang on a sec, that's not true. Don't just believe what you're saying. Be informed. The first step is to be informed.
Amen.
And then you can decide what else you want to do. Share. You can, phone up your MP and say, hey, this is unacceptable. Australians need to vote against these parties. The Liberal Party and the Labor Party are in, cahoots together and fighting for Israel, fighting for the Zionists. Again, let's not confuse it, because the Jewish Council of Australia is brilliant. The Jewish Council of Australia called on the Australian government to stop arming Israel, to stop sending weapons, and stop the boycott, divest sanction. They were all part of that. There's a group of Jewish people in Australia who are so against the Australian government supporting the Zionists, and they've been trying to get their voice out there. And so let's not make this about religion.
But do they have power to not support the Zionists, for example? Like, for example, in America.
What's going to happen? You're going to lose. You're going to lose. You're either going to lose, or you start turning the ship. What's at stake?
Daisy,
they lose power.
I don't think these people are passionate like you. I don't think they care like you do. That's the problem.
No, they're ego driven, and it's all about what I'm going to get out of it today. This is my life, and I've got this one chance, and they're driven by fear. They're not driven by faith.
Yeah, of course.
They're driven by fear. And if you had faith, you would follow the truth.
Oh, yeah, I look at our Christian faith, and I look back to the early church, and I look at, say, the disciples. 11 of the disciples were martyred. In the Catholic Church, 31 of the first 33 popes were martyred, were killed for their faith. They stood up for the truth and they were killed. They became martyrs. So there's been over 70 million Christians that have been killed for their faith over the last 2,000 years. 70 million.
Wow.
They say, I don't know, was it 7 million Jews that got killed?
The Holocaust.
7 million or 5 million, whatever it is. 70 million Christians.
You're a Christian, you never heard about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
Why
saying.
aren't we telling stories like
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, standing up for the truth, unfortunately, sometimes you end up getting killed for your faith. But you know what? I'd rather be killed for my faith and standing up for the truth than sitting there behind a computer and just, you know, not standing up because I'm scared. You know, and God bless what you do, because, you know, you're going back to Lebanon now and you're not fearing anything, and you keep posting and keep sharing the truth. And thank you so much for coming on. And hopefully when I go to Lebanon, maybe I can interview you in Lebanon, but make sure there's some security guards coming around us.
I would love it if you came to Lebanon. It'd be so cool to do a follow-up interview there.
Would be great. So let's pray on it. And
thank you
so
very
much
much
for coming
Charlie.
on, Daisy.
Been a great
and please share and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. God bless you all. Majdaleh Daimele.